What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Rasslin, and this is my review for the October 5th episode of AEW Dynamite, their 3-year anniversary. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you are notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Yeah, this Dynamite review is probably going to be unlike any Dynamite review I have ever done or any AEW review I have ever done. Tonight's episode of Dynamite, before it started, it was reported by TMZ and Sean Ross Sapp added a correction and everything that there was a physical altercation between Andrade, El Idolo, and Sammy Guevara. Andrade was sent home. The initial TMZ report stated that both men were sent home, but then it was later corrected that only Andrade was sent home. So, a lot of fans were like, well, Sammy Guevara is probably not going to be on the show. And that was not the case. There was promos, videos promoting the main event, Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson with Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And let me tell you, from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all these platforms, everyone was not happy. And this was as the show went on. When the show ended and the way it ended, that increased massively. And I know people are going to say, well, Twitter and social media is not real. And, this isn't real and that isn't real. Well, guess what? Optics are real. And the optics for tonight's show are not good. And I will say, as someone who has watched AEW from the first episode, watched all their pay-per-views, this ending of Dynamite was probably the worst ending of any AEW show they have put on. I would put over a dark ending, an AEW dark episode, and an episode of Elevation over this ending. This was a terrible ending. Before I get more into that, I will give you guys the results, because outside of the news breaking beginning of Dynamite and the main event, this show was a banger. But for some reason, AEW, and I'm sorry, I have to call out Tony Khan for whatever stuff he thinks is right and everything, this was a bad call. And I'm not going to even say this was a bad call. This was a terrible call. He needs to do a better job of reading the room. I'm sorry. It was just reported, a few months ago that Sammy Guevara had an issue with an incident with Eddie Kingston, and now within a few months, Andrade. I'm sorry. Once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times it's a pattern. And the reason why I say 3 times is because there's been instances where he's gone on Twitter and, bashed other people and said stuff and did stuff. There was the incident where him and T-Bar from WWE were having a spat over finishing moves, and, a few wrestlers came to Sammy's defense, but it's like, dude, like, really? And it seems to be a common thread here. I'm not trying to get too personal or anything, but this is what is being presented on social media. And guess what? Most people are going to take it like, dude, there's an issue here. Like, this is translating into some dysfunction. Eddie Kingston, we haven't seen it. We only seen him once. This is ridiculous. But let me get to the results. So the first match, MJF defeated Wheeler Yuta. That was a banger match. MJF looked phenomenal. He looked good. Man, you could tell he's been working out. Like, it's like, ooh, okay, he's got that main event look. And man, he looked phenomenal. Him and Will Yuta look awesome. Second match, you had Darby Allin defeat Jay Lethal. That was another good match. But again, in the first 2 matches, most people who were on Twitter, because let me tell you something, most people watch Dynamite and live tweet at the same time. And guess what? More people were not happy that Sammy Guevara was not sent home. And what adds to that is you have the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, who are EVPs. They were suspended immediately. And granted, they're EVPs. But you have someone that's had 2 incidences within a 3-month period and they stay? Huh? That doesn't make any sense. Optics wise, that is terrible. And if you do not want the perception that there's favoritism in your wrestling company, guess what? It's hard to refute that when stuff like this is obvious and more people know about it because of the reports. Again, if people say, oh, there's favoritism in AEW, guess what? I can't refute it. Nor will I. It's obvious. There's some type of favoritism going on. And I know I might get backlash from this. You're not in the locker room and this. Guess what? The way this stuff is playing out, you think I want to be in that locker room? I don't care if I'm a stagehand, a wrestler, working with the audio crew, the ring crew. You think I want to be in that backstage locker room with this? No, I don't. I don't think anybody else in their right mind want to do that, especially the way our society is right now. Who the hell wants all this drama? Like, there's people that just had a freaking hurricane and all this other stuff, and this? Like, really? Like, really? People watch your product to get away from, whatever they're going through, and they got to watch this? Like, bro, if I want to watch drama, I got like 10 reality shows that beat you in the ratings every Wednesday. Why do I want to watch your drama? Come on. Then you had Wardlow defeat Brian Cage. Another good match. Brian Cage looked very good. Wardlow looked good. This was another great match. Then you had Willow, Toni Storm, and Athena defeat Serena Deeb, Penelope Ford, and Jamie Hayter. This was another phenomenal match. These women, I could say they stole the show because that crowd was into it. This was a great match. The confrontation between Britt Baker and Saraya at the end of the match, and she started throwing blows, and hey, looks like Saraya, aka Paige, is cleared. We're gonna get that Paige Britt Baker match, which should be good. Then we had Roosh. He was defeated by Hangman Page. Another great match. It was good. Great. The confrontation between Jon Moxley and Adam Page was so good. And then in the squash match, you had Luchasaurus defeat Fuego del Sol, and then you had Jungle Boy come out and he attacked him with a chair and he said, "I hate you and I'm gonna break everything about you." And then in the main event, you had does not make any sense. You had Sammy Guevara pin Daniel Garcia. Yes, you had Sammy Guevara defeat Daniel Garcia in a tag match. Granted, the tag match was Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara defeated Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia. Like, this ending made no sense whatsoever. From the news broke of the altercation at 7 o'clock Central Time. By 9:15, when this match was over, everyone's just like, how does the guy who's gotten into 2 incidences in the last several months, or was it 3-4 months, going back into June? Yeah, like the last 3 months, gets the pin over one of your top guys that's going over? Like, that makes no sense. And I'm just going to share a few of the things that were chanted in the main event as soon as they came out. There was a large amount of FU chants, or FU Sammy chants, in the main event. There was a sign of Sammy drama. There was a bunch of signs like that, several signs. There was a loud Andrade chant. There was a loud "You Still Suck" chant. There was a sign that said "Hire HR experts." You had Idolo chants. You had all that. And I know this review, those of you who watch my reviews, I usually go through the match, the whole card and everything, but this took away from it. I mean, you had Willow Nightingale just stood out tonight. You had MJF that looked good tonight. You had Darby. You had Wardlow and Brian Cage look good. You had Penelope Ford, Jamie Hayter, Serena Deeb. You had all 6 women look good. You had Britt Baker and Soraya look good. You had Russian Hangman Page look good. You know, the Luchasaurus Jungle Boy, yeah, it was okay, but it was okay. It's advancing something. But, bruh, the guy killed the show. Like, he killed the vibe of the show. Like, me as a viewer, like, I could not get into it because I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's wait a minute, what? And I'm like, wait a minute, if you sent everybody home and everybody who was involved in the all-out media scrum was suspended, but like, huh? You know, optics-wise, it does not look good, man. It does not look good. Um, it's sad because, like I said, this whole show had banger matches, but that one incident, you know, this altercation, it's like, man, and it's not so much the altercation, it's the fact that if you're going to do one for all, you do for everyone. And tonight was not the case. And it's like, okay, like, so I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like, the Bucks, Omega, Punk, Ace Steel, all were sent home and suspended. Yet, Andrade and Sammy get into an altercation. Andrade sent home. Sammy is on TV. And this is his second incident within the last 3 months that he's had with 2 wrestlers. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And this is bad. Like, this is bad. I'm not gonna say this is the end of AEW. Like, no, that's there. People are gonna still watch, but optics wise, this is. I tweeted this. Maybe it was hastily or what have you, but I will find it very difficult for them to get over 1 million viewers after this. If they do get 1 million, it's more out of curiosity, because of the backstage drama. Like, the backstage drama overshadowed the show. But yeah, I will find it very difficult after this if they get over 1 million viewers, because this, not so much when the news broke, it was like, okay, something happened. Oh man, they got into a fight. Like, all right, they're both suspended. That's what everybody is assuming. They're suspended. But after the MJF Wheeler Yuta match, and you get a backstage segment with the Jericho Appreciation Society, and you see Sammy there, you're like, I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, maybe there's some missing, like, wait a minute, maybe TMZ's got something wrong, and then it's later, you know, the later report comes out, like, no, Andrade was the only one sent home. It's like, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute, why is he? Nah, this, and from that moment on, this show just had a weird vibe. And you felt it in the show, you felt it in the crowd. You just felt this, like, we don't want to see him on TV. Like, this is backwards. Like, this is, you know, like, what? Like, why is he on TV? Like, he should not be on TV. If, like I said, if the Young Bucks, CM Punk, and Omega are off TV, why is he still on TV? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It overshadowed many of the matches here, many of the segments. The backstage segment with, after the Jazz backstage segment, you had Brian Cage and the Embassy were hyping up their match. Really dope. You know, after that match, you know, the post match, you know, the Embassy attacked Wardlow. Samoa Joe made the save. Then they started beating each other up, and then FTR came out to a huge pop. Boom. The Britt Baker Soraya confrontation towards the end, that was dope. That got a huge pop. You know, look, if anything you can notice about AEW in the last year is that 95% of the drama that's been reported has been mostly in the men's roster, and very little has been reported in the women's roster. And I'll use this analogy. When you favor, if you have 2 fully functioning feet and you favor one foot, guess what's going to happen? Eventually, that foot that you favor is going to break down. You have to have balance. And same thing in the business world. If you favor one side and you favor one side and you favor one section and one group and just keep pouring your resources, guess what? Eventually, there's going to be a lot of contention in there because everything is focused on that group. It's not balanced. And I think that's the major thing that we're seeing with AEW, that AEW is not balanced as far as how they conduct things. It's not balanced. It's not. It's not balanced as far as booking. It's not balanced as far as presentation. It's not balanced as far as disciplinary actions or what have you want to call it. AEW is not balanced, and it's obvious, and it shows in the presentation and everything. And in order for AEW to get balanced, especially with the drama, backstage drama that's happening in AEW, maybe it's time to start shifting and putting more focus on the women's division and building it up, so that way you take off the focus and let cooler heads prevail, so that way there's a balance. And it's not that hard. You know, many of my reviews, I've said AEW needs to put more of the men and women together in factions where they're a cohesive unit, not the women are over here, the men are over here, and well, we'll see, they'll meet somewhere in the like, no, it's not rocket science. Just going through my notes. You know, the funniest segment, the segment that brought so much light to this show was the Acclaimed, the National Scissors Day. They had the number one selling shirt in AEW. Anthony Bowens, he made a declaration that AEW stands for Acclaimed every Wednesday, which I thought was freaking hilarious. This crowd ate it up. This crowd loved it. They were into it when they came out. They got the biggest reaction of the night. They had the crowd, you know, doing it. Yeah, that whole thing. You just seen the crowd gravitate to this because it's like, man, these guys are having fun. This whole backstage drama, and I won't necessarily say the backstage drama, but the fact that the guy who was a part of the backstage drama was still on TV left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. Like, this isn't fun. Like, this is like, no, this is not what we want. But the Acclaim segment with Billy Gunn, shout out to Billy Gunn. You can tell this man is having a lot of fun. It's almost like he's reliving his DX days. Max Caster said that it's a sign of friendship. The crowd just started scissoring, doing the scissor gesture and everything. Max tells a story about his dad, you know, winning the Super Bowl championship, and this is, you know, similar to it. Then I liked it when Swerve interrupted. He looks at Billy Gunn. He's like, man, this is what we're doing? Like, Billy, like, you're doing a gesture that's going to get, you know, some kids suspended like you did 2 decades ago. And I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. That's a good line. And Swerve got heat. But what's crazy, the crowd was booing him. But then when he said, whose house is it? Swerve's house. The whole crowd said it's Swerve's house. Then after that, he mentioned, you know, Rock beat Scissors. And he challenged Billy Gunn to a match next week on Dynamite in Toronto. So we are going to get Billy Gunn versus Swerve Strickland in Toronto. That should be a really fun match. Then you claim they beat down Mark Sterling because he interrupted and he's like, oh, he just got his ass beat. Then the backstage segment with Madison Rain and Sky Blue. And then it's with Ty Mello and Anna Jay, and guilty by association, man. This, like, as soon as they came on screen, you heard the crowd just booing. There was a term that they used back in the day called X-Pac heat, and that was just more supposedly, go away. Like X-Pac didn't have go away heat. Like he was just, a lot of people thought I thought he was cool and everything. But the reaction that Sammy Guevara has gotten lately, before these two incidents, was more like, we don't want this. Like, no, this isn't, no, this, we're not, like, no, this, we're not feeling it. And it's not what they do on their personal life or anything like that, but it's just like, no, we're not feeling these characters. Add on these two incidences, and it's just, people are just like, no, it's sad because you can tell and you can sense the crowd is just like, we don't even want to be invested in you. Like, just do your thing and just go to the back. Like, that's where it's at. That's how it's perceived on TV and with the fandom on all these social media platforms. That is just like, no, we ain't rocking with you, man. Just go in this segment. Madison Rain, the crowd gave her cheers. Sky Blue, she's local Chicago talent. She's gone her, but I feel sad for him, but guilty by association, man. This is gonna, like I said, man, this is gonna be hard for AEW to recover from. And granted, it's AEW's somewhat reputation, when their backs against the wall, they come back stronger. But guess what? This time you can only do that for so long before it's just like, you know what? There's certain things you just can't come back from, because all the times you had some form of saving grace. And again, putting a guy who's had two instances, altercations with two wrestlers in the last 3 months, and he's still on TV, it's not cool. It comes across not cool, and the two guys that he had altercations with are suspended, and not him. Not cool. Hangman Page and Roosh, the whole, that was a really dope match. And then you had MJF watching in the back with the poker chip, which is real interesting. Like, what's going on? It's like, is MJF going to cash in next week? Very interesting. There was Cowboy shit chance, it was physical. You had Private Party come out. Mox comes out, evens the odds. Moxie's like, I've been studying for 3 years. We beat everybody but each other. On October 18th, I don't have to respect you for anything. Paige is like, if you've been waiting for so long, why are you leaving? And it's like, ooh. And Moxie's like, you know what? You're a sweet kid, but sometimes you guys don't listen. It's like, ooh, damn. And he says, in 13 days, watch your damn mouth. The backstage segment with Willow, she challenges Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. I believe that's going to be this Friday on Rampage, which should be a great match. Honestly, at this point, I don't know if they're holding it back, but like, Jade Cargill needs to be going for the women's championship. I don't know if they're waiting for Thunder Rosa to come so she could take it. Jade Cargill needs to be double champ, because let's face it, she's a freaking star. Yeah, just after that, you had the Luchasaurus, you had the tag team match, the MJF segment that started the match, or the MJF Yuta match, was a great match, great showcase. For me, I'm like, man, is this, it felt like early 80s Ric Flair Steamboat. It was like before they just, it's like, man, are we watching like a preview of something that's going to take off, the next 5-7 years, where they're top dogs main event? We'll look back like, man, I remember they did this. So I don't know, we'll see. But man, MJF looked really good in the ring. Yuta wanted to show respect. MJF tells Moriarty he didn't tell him to do that, because Moriarty blindsided Yuta, started beating him up. You had shit, I forgot his name. Damn it. How did I forget his name, man? Oh my god. His manager of the the firm. Oh my god, his name is on the tip of my tongue. I see his face. So he basically told him, like, hey, I didn't ask this, get her here. William Regal comes out, brass knuckles. So MJF receives the was it the Dynamite ring or diamond ring or whatever the hell that damn ring is called. So they come out, they have this stare down, and they walk away. So it was pretty interesting, that segment. But like I said, man, once the Jazz backstage segment happened and you saw Sammy Guevara back there, that killed the show. Like that, the whole vibe just went, because everyone's into the Will You to MJF match. Of course, people were like finding out the information. Oh man! And then once it was corrected that, yeah, Sammy Guevara wasn't sent home, and it's like, but man, this was a bad ending to this Dynamite. Like I said, this was one of the worst endings of in AEW history, considering what transpired, and the optics of it. Like I said, you have Omega, the Bucks, Ace Steel, Punk, suspended, off TV, not even advertised. But yet you have someone who's had 2 altercations in 3 months. The individuals that he got an altercation with are suspended, but he's on TV. Optics-wise, that doesn't look good. And, one thing that AEW has struggled with, and more so Tony Khan, is that he has a bad habit of not reading the room. This goes back to that tweet at the beginning of the year with Big Swole. And ever since then, it's just been a lack of reading the room. Like if the fans who are paying money to watch your product, who are going to your shows, if they're telling you, no, this is not what we want, if they're telling you, hey, like this isn't right, and you're still going against that in some way, shape, form, or fashion, it's going to end up biting you in the ass eventually. And I hope it doesn't do it. This doesn't affect them severely, but like I said, I will find it very hard to confidently believe that they will have over 1 million viewers after this. Like, it's going to be very difficult. They may get it. This show may have gotten 1 million viewers. Hey, it could have. But I find it very difficult after this ending. Because, again, I've watched every AEW show, every Dynamite since the beginning. I've watched every pay-per-view. Tuned in for Dark and Elevation. Rampage, I've watched every episode, and let me tell you, this was the worst ending in AEW history because of the optics. And it doesn't send a great message to the fan base, knowing that most of your fan base are smart fans, and we know what's going on. So it's just like, okay, this guy is suspended, this guy's suspended, these guys are suspended, but this guy's not, but he was involved in this. Gotcha. It's not a good look. It's not a good look, but we'll see what happens this Friday on Rampage and Battle of the Belts, which, again, that makes no sense. You have 2 hours. Why don't you just call it Battle of the Belts? Like, makes no sense. But again, if you think you're the smartest man in the room, a lot of times people who think they're the smartest person in the rooms are the dumbest person in the room. I'm not saying it. That's just history, and that's a quote that's been quoted decades and years. So take it for what you want. But that is my review for the October 5th episode of AEW Dynamite, their 3-year anniversary, and what a fucking anniversary it was. So like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications for the latest videos and content that House of Wrestling will drop. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Well, hopefully wrestling fans, some of these wrestling companies will think about us and just entertain us with very little drama. Hope so, but it is what it is. So with that,